Let's turn to the types of activities you can do as part of your Chapter 1 session. Many volunteers have told us that they feel nervous prior to their first reading session. Your pupil may be a little nervous too. To help get over those first session jitters, we suggest you take some time to get to know your pupil by asking them about their likes and dislikes and having some general conversation. And if you want to be sure you know how the platform works, don't forget our practice feature too. Prior to your session, the classroom computer will be sitting in a virtual queue waiting for you to connect. When your call is answered and you indicate that your student is available, your computer connects with the classroom computer in the virtual queue. Unlike screen sharing, your computer and the classroom computer are independent, even though they display the same material. As the reading volunteer, you control the session and decide what activities to show to your student. When working with your student, there may be times when it is unclear if they're viewing the same material as you. As we mentioned in the basic training, to view a representation of the child's screen, click on the icon at the top of the screen and a window will appear which shows you what a child ought to see on their screen. This will help you to direct them if they're unsure of what to do or if it's unclear they are viewing what you sent. This feature is a guide only and should not replace reaching out to chat support for assistance. If the child reports that they're unable to see anything at their end or are seeing something different to what the window displays to you, it may be necessary for our chat support to remote into the pupil's computer to troubleshoot a technical problem. While we have suggestions about the time you could spend on each activity, do remember that this is not set in stone. Feel free to experiment with what works best for you and the child you're supporting. The first activity in the sequence is flashcards. We recommend you spend 5 minutes at the beginning of your session on flashcards. This is a great way for your student to practice their decoding and sight word skills and prepare for the reading session. You'll notice that the platform divides flashcards into 2 types, sounds and tricky words. Sound flashcards are designed to help pupils practice recognizing, saying and blending sounds, also known as phonemes, in words that they can decode or sound out. For example, the 3 individual sounds k, a, t in the decodable word cat. Tricky word flashcards help pupils practice common words that cannot be sounded out or don't match the child's sound knowledge yet. Children need to learn these words by sight. Feel free to move between the 2 flashcard tabs during your reading session. There are lots of sounds and words to choose from depending on your child's flashcard level. Let's talk about sound flashcards first. As you may remember, Chapter 1 flashcards and activities are organised according to levels of difficulty from 2 to 5. These broadly correspond to the order in which sounds are taught in phonics lessons in schools. Children are taught simple, common sounds first, for example, the a in at or the I in pin, and then, as they progress, teachers gradually introduce alternative pronunciations for these sounds. For example, the short I in tip is pronounced differently to the long I in find, and the latter is taught later. We will use the simplest level, level 2, to explain how flashcards work on our platform. Don't forget, if you need a refresher, directions are always available and can be expanded and closed as needed. First, select a letter or group of letters from the black tiles in the lower part of the screen. Words starting with or containing that sound will display in the grey box. Notice the first word is highlighted purple. This word will be immediately visible to your pupil. Ask your child to read you this word. They may need help sounding out the word. Remember that the word might contain individual sound phonemes, digraphs, 2 letters making one sound, like ch, or trigraphs, 3 letters making a sound, like I. Once they have sounded a word out, it's important to ask the child to blend the sounds together so that the word is read smoothly and fluently. If your pupil struggles with this, use the I do, we do, you do technique to build their confidence. First, you sound out, then blend the word. Then you and your pupil sound out and blend the word together. And finally, your pupil sounds out and blends the word alone. You may feel your pupil needs additional practice, or it would be helpful to see the sound used in a sentence. Most sounds at the lower levels have captions that include the sound or word. Click on the instruction in the captions box in order to see a caption. As soon as you do this, the caption will be visible to your pupil. You can read the caption to them first or ask them to read it to you. If there's more than one practice caption, you will see small arrows that will allow you to move between them. The caption functionality is not available at levels 4 and 5. You will also notice that level 4 is organised a little differently to the other levels. Level 4 uses practice sets of words rather than individual sound tiles. This helps children consolidate the sounds they've learnt at level 2 and 3 by using them in longer words which have lots of consonants. As your pupil reads the words in the grey box, you can mark the practice set of words green or red based on the child's knowledge of the words. If a child can read all the words in the box, click the green button. This will mark the sound tile or practice set green. If you think that the sound or practice set needs more work, click the red button and the sound tile or practice set will turn red. The platform will remember this for your next session. The child will not see this assessment, it's just visible to you. All they will see is the words or captions that you click on. When marking sounds green or red, the goal is for your pupil to read all words in the practice set before marking that sound green. It is up to you to determine if your pupil has sufficiently mastered a sound. Please note, in all levels of sound flashcards, our platform does not have the ability for you to mark individual words as green or red. You need to make the judgment at the sound level. Now, let's talk about tricky words in flashcards. As explained earlier, these are specific words that children need to learn by sight and are displayed in groups according to level. You can simply click on a word and it will immediately be visible to your pupil. You can mark each word as known or unknown using the green and red buttons. The platform will remember this for your next session. Again, your pupil will not see this assessment. The next activity in our suggestion sequence is stories. Reading stories out loud is the most important thing your student will do, as it's where he or she gets a chance to practice. You should ideally spend 15 to 20 minutes of your session each week reading stories, but each child will be different, and some may not be able to concentrate on reading for that long earlier in the year. When you're ready to read stories, click on Stories from the left menu. The story level or colour that your child is reading at will always be displayed on the yellow box in the purple banner. As we explained earlier, you should feel free to change this as the child progresses. Teachers may also update levels, and if they do, you will notice the child's level has changed when you next log on. The stories that you select will be visible in rows on both your screen and on the student's screen. We have a wide array of stories on our platform and hope our range of fiction and non-fiction texts gives children exposure to other cultures, traditions and experiences and helps them make human connections. Have fun with your pupil choosing which story they want to read and guessing what they might be about. The student can tell you which book he or she would like to read by giving you the number next to the book title or describing the picture. Giving children choice about what they read is a first and very important step in helping them develop a love of reading. As we mentioned earlier, it can be hard for children to concentrate only on reading stories for a full 30 minutes. That's why our platform also contains 5 word activities that you can choose to use with your pupil. You'll find that your children will develop firm favourites and enjoy beating you. It's up to you whether you use these at the end of the session before you say goodbye or in between stories to mix things up a little. The games are Word Sort, 3 in a row, Mystery Word, Word World, and the Whiteboard. What follows is a brief look at each game. To view step-by-step instructions, see the directions sidebar on each page. In the Word Sort activity, students will practice sorting words based on their word endings. This is great practice for students learning how to sound out. As the reading volunteer, you will select the word from the list of 9 words you'll see above coloured boxes. Your student will see the same word on the screen, but will only see one word, not the menu that you have. Ask your student where the word belongs based on the word ending. Once you click on the appropriate box, the word will populate and the student will see the same word on their screen. Once all the words have been placed in a box, draw your student's attention to the similarities of the words and then ask your student to read the words in each box. 3 in a row is a favourite activity for many students. This additional exposure to words will help encourage fluent reading and word identification. When you're ready to begin, determine who will be a cross and who will be a naught. Notice each box has a word. Your pupil can see the same words as you. When your student selects a box, ask them to read the word. If they get it correct, place a cross or a naught in the box. You and your student will try to be the first to get 3 crosses or 3 naughts in a row, up, down, across, or diagonally. When you place a cross or a naught in the box, your student will see the same thing on their screen. Mystery word is a fun way of learning vocabulary and will help students remember the spelling of new words. To begin, think of a word or use one of the suggested words found on the right side of your screen. The student cannot see these words. When you have a word in mind, click on the number of letters of the word. Your student will see the same number of blank spaces on their screen. As your student begins to guess letters, click on the letter on the keyboard. This will highlight that letter for both you and your student. Please put your cursor on the appropriate line and select the letter using your computer keyboard. Your student will see each letter on their screen. You may find your student needs a little help getting started with this activity. Consider filling in the first letter or offering a clue to help your student guess the word. Word World is a fun way for pupils to practice spelling and word patterns. To play, spin the wheel to begin. A word will appear on your screen, but the pupil will not see the word. The spinner will stop on a letter, which will populate on the pupil's screen. Click No to continue spinning until there are enough letters for the pupil to guess what the word might be, or until the pupil can read the word on the screen. Click Yes to show a new word and play the game again. The words generated by Word World are random and some can be a little hard for lower level readers, so you may want to wait until later in the year to play this game. The whiteboard simulates a magnetic board and is great for practicing spelling, difficult words, or making up fun sentences. It is also a great activity to extend proficient readers or when you have exhausted the flashcards. Type a word or phrase in the field at the bottom of the screen. When you click Submit Word, your student will see the same word or phrase on their screen. You can also move words and phrases around by dragging anywhere on the board. Why not make up a story together each week?